Hi, my name is Ken. You can call me Sensei. Today, I'm here to teach you how to code, right? And I'm going to be using basic HTML and CSS. It doesn't matter if you're a banker or a farmer, right? So it doesn't matter your academic background or whatnot. All you need is a laptop that has access to the internet and you can follow along. So yes, let's write your first lines of code. Yeah, so like I said, all you need is a browser and access to the internet. So for starters, we're going to try to recreate this, to build something like this. It's a blog post view. Essentially, there's an image and some text, and we'll try to achieve the top navigation bar. It might not be exact, but something close and usable with this HTML and CSS. So let's go. And to get started, I need you to go to Google and find this page, Code Sandbox, right? After searching for it, you hit on the first one. You might need to create an account. If you're using Google, it becomes really easy because you just click on your click on sign in with Google or something like that, and it shows you a page. So once you've created an account here, it gives you like a coding sandbox on the web that allows you to write code on the web without having to worry about installing anything. So I'm going to create a new sandbox sort of, and I'll select this HTML and CSS option. For me, it's recently used. For you, you might see it here as part of the popular options. So select this, and then I'll just call this HTML intro. You can call it whatever you like. And yeah, that goes. So create sandbox. All right. Now my sandbox is created. And as you can see, we have sort of three panes here, one, two, and three. Drop this. So on this right side, it simulates a web page. So it's basically a web page, right? That shows the outputs of your code. This part, this is where you write your code, and it shows up on this side. And this is essentially the files that are present in this sandbox. For now, we don't need much of this CSS, but let's just leave it as it is. We can just remove everything that's here and save. You do Control S to save or Command S if you're using Windows and MacBook, respectively. So good, great, great, great. I'm going to collapse this because we do not need to, aha. So, because we do not need to change the files, add a new file. This should work for now. And let's try to keep this as short as possible. So this seems like a lot of jargon right now, so I'm going to take everything away, right? And save, hit save. So it's a blank page, blank HTML. So think of HTML like a regular document on Google Docs, or those of you that are used to MS Word. You usually have a blank page and then you start typing things into it. And I will start by saying, hello world. Many of you have seen this in many places. It's a way to just test the waters. So this way we know that when we make a change in the editor on the left, we will see it in the preview on the right. And yes, so this is valid. HTML is mostly text-based. So anything you write here will show up on the other side. And I could do today is a good day and save, and it shows up as well. So yeah. Now that we are sure that our environment is working the way we want, we're going to start writing actual HTML. Your HTML document, as a standard, usually is supposed to start with something called a doc type that shows that it's a HTML document, and followed by the HTML tag. Now you'll notice that this tag has like a less than sign, and then HTML, and then a greater than sign around it. So this is the opening tag. This is called the closing tag. So whatever it is that is contained between these two tags, right, are known as the descendants or children. HTML, like other documents, going back to your native, your native documents like Microsoft Word documents usually have like headers, paragraphs, and things like that. HTML is actually divided into two parts. You need two different sections. First is the head section, and then you also need the body section. And so both of them are, you need to have opening and closing tags for both of them. You can keep this as it is. Now, we may not really want to worry about the head section much for this lecture because we're trying to keep things really, really brief. But we need to put one more tag here, which is the title tag. And why does this matter? You know those headings for web pages. In this case, we see if you look over here where my cursor is, you see index.html node box. But if we change this to my new web page and I save this, now you don't see any difference. But if we open this, if we allow this to run in a separate tab, right? If you look at the top here, it says my new web page. So that title you see on top of every tab in your browser, that's what it is. So yeah, I'm just going to close this and close this as well. And I'll leave this as my new web page. So now you have a working title. And then in the body, you can write whatever it is you want. And I'll start with hello world again. And as you can see, hello world, right? Just as we did before. But there's a catch. Now, by default, this is valid HTML, and you can go on and on and on. But yeah, you're going to run into a couple of roadblocks real quickly. Yeah, let's see. Let's remove this and let's stop. Remember, we said we're trying to do a blog post, so we need to have a like a top bar part. We're supposed to have a title, a date, an image, and some paragraph text. And how are we supposed to achieve this? Let's think about it in a few steps. For now, let's ignore the first part, which is the header, and go into the part that says travel, essential items while traveling, and then the dates. Sorry. Now we have the body. So I could easily say travel, essential items while traveling, and then we could say today is September 14, 25. And when I save this, if you notice, it appears as though it's one line, which is normal because documents are supposed to have different sections. In Word documents, you have different paragraphs, right? And so the same thing applies here. In order to achieve that functionality, we can use the paragraph tag or the P tag, right? So the paragraph tag is denoted by the letter P, just P. So it has an opening tag and then a closing tag. And if you put this in between your paragraph tags, it's going to appear as having three different layers. So let's try that. And then we'll put this one, copy, paste, then September 14th, copy, and then I paste it here. Now, upon saving, see what happens. They are now all appearing on three different lines. How nice. Next, we'll go ahead and remove this because this is not what we want anymore. So this is the first part of it. We've gotten this good and fine. The next thing we want to do is we want to put this in the center. If you notice over here, the items, travel, essential items while traveling, and the dates, they are all centered, albeit. So how can we achieve that? Well, we could go ahead and add a style to this. We say style, and then we do text align center. Right? See how it is. So style equals, there's the quotation mark, text align center. Essentially, we're saying, hey, I want you to help me align my text to the middle, right? So as you can see, travel is aligned to the center while the other two paragraphs are still on the left. By default, paragraphs are aligned to the left, right? All items are aligned to the left by default. So that being said, we could easily copy this and put it inside of it. Put it inside of this. So what we've just done is we've added attributes to our element, right? Or to that paragraph. And this attribute is the style attribute, telling the browser how to style it, right? We could easily change the color as well. Let's try to do that. If we come here, we can see that this travel part is sort of green. To make it simple, I'll come here, put this, and do color and set it to green and right. So as you can see, it's now like green color. We can go further. We can decide to say we also want the text, no, not decoration, text transform, capitalize, no, capitalize, uppercase. So we want all the text inside of travel to be uppercase. And as you can see now, right, there are so many other options. You can check it up. At the end of this lecture, I'll provide a link where you can continue learning more about paragraphs and a little bit of the attributes. And what next? What do we need to do again? We can see that the essential items while traveling seems a little bit bolder, right? It's something that we can do as well. So coming back here, we can say font weight and set it to 700. Essentially, you can do from 100 down to 800, or set it to 700. And there's still a problem. It's still not big enough, right? So what do? Raise the font size and put it at, let's try 24 pixels because the fonts are usually in pixels. There are various units of measurements in HTML, but let's go with pixels for today. So font size set to 24 pixels. Let's check, is it big enough? Let's make it slightly bigger. Set to 6. Yep, I think that would do. That would do. And for starters, we can leave it at that. So there's September 22, 2022, which is our date here. Good and fine. If you notice, there's a little bit of space in between travel and essential items while traveling. So basically space in between the paragraphs. That is because browsers usually apply default styling to the paragraphs, right? And while we don't want to deep dive into that right now, the essence of this lesson is just to show you how to like write basic HTML. So let's not bother ourselves about how that works under the hood. But I'm going to add something here that just says margin 0, padding 0, right? And I'm gonna do box sizing and set it to border box. Yes. And you don't need to pay attention to this right now, but href, and this is going to be CSS. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just saying, hey, I have some stuff inside of styles.css and I want to use it inside of my HTML. And if you notice, something has changed. The space between the items have actually reduced, and this is what we want because we want to add our own space manually to it. Now, in order not to make this too long, I'm going to do one more addition here. I'm going to do padding top. I'm going to say this is 20 pixels, and I'm going to say padding bottom 20 pixels as well. And the padding is the space around essential items while traveling, right? So I added a little bit of padding top and bottom, and this is what we have. It looks slightly better. Maybe we can reduce that a little bit. I'm going to reduce this to 1010. All right, I guess this looks way better than it did before. We'll leave this at that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an image, right? This image shows this young man, he's looking at the water. Obviously, we're not able to get this particular image, but we need to get something reasonably close to it. So what I'll do is I'll go to a website called pixels.com, and right off the bat, I see a couple of images already. I would search for something related to traveling, and can we have something? Hmm, These are looking nice already. You know what? I think I'm gonna take this one. This looks nice. I don't need to download it. I'll just right click on it and then copy the image link for the purpose of this lecture. And by default, if I just paste in the link and I save, it shows up as text, which is not what we want. So how do we make this to show as an actual image? Simple thing is to use an image tag, right? And then we close it. Now, the image tag is a little bit different from the paragraph tag and the body tag and the head tag that we've seen so far. It's a self-closing tag. Now, similar to what we see in line 5, where the link does not have a closing tag, right? This is known as a self self-closing tag. For the image, we use that as well. It has a special attribute called a source. This is where you put in the link, and when you save, boom, as you can see, it takes up the entire space, which is not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to give it a definitive style, and we can set to do width, and we say 100%. Let's see how that looks. Right. So now we have a width. The image spans the left end to the right end, which is exactly what we wanted. For starters, that should work just fine. And coming back here, we have some text at the bottom. So yeah, let's try and get that text. I had ChatGPT create a simple article for this, or you could use lorem ipsum if that works for you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paste it in, and it seems like a lot right now, but you know what? Instead of doing that, let's just have the paragraph tags first. So I have essentially about 4 paragraphs, and I'll paste them in one at a time, just so it's easy to follow along. This is the first one, and this is the second one. I'll just copy and paste it for the source. All right, I've pasted it, and this is the third. I think we can make do with 3 actually. We don't necessarily have to use 4 paragraphs. So 3 is fine. And then when we save it, we can see that the online editor tries to wrap everything so we can easily see the entire content of the paragraph. So at that point, we can see it. All 3 paragraphs are well defined underneath. But there's a problem, right? There's a problem now. If you look at this, you can tell that there's some space on the left and right side. However, for our page, there is no space on the left and right side. And let's change that real quickly. And we'll just copy all of this, including the image, not everything, but down to the image. Now we want to wrap everything inside of a div component. So wrapping means we're going to use the div element is another important tag in HTML, and we're going to paste everything in it. And by default, it does not look like we've done anything, because if we save, it's still the same look and feel, which is good, which is fine. But now we're going to add a couple of things here. So I'm going to style this, and I'm going to say the max width would be, let's give it a max width of 600 pixels. And we just want to say, hey, we want to have spaces on the left and right side. So using the margin attribute, we can decide to tell how we want to space things. So the first two um The first option, right, is for the y-axis, which is top and bottom. So I'm saying, hey, I want 20 pixels on the top, 20 pixels on the bottom. Then for left and right, I'm going to say, oh, I would like the browser to calculate the space that is left and then split it both ways. Now, see how that will look now. If I save this, this is what happens. If there's a little space at the top, because I put 20 pixels there, I could increase this to 50, and there's going to be a little bit more space there. Then there's going to be some space at the bottom as well. As you can see, looks good, looks better if you ask me. And the next thing I want to do is, since we've started putting things together, why don't we also wrap essentially these items, right? And put it also in a div. Okay, saving this doesn't look like much, but what we'll do here is this time we'll still use the style attribute and we put margin, and we're gonna say we want 50 pixels. Let's not use auto this time because everything is already centered. So just 50 pixels on 0, and that should put some space on top and some space on the bottom. So as you can see, our blog page is already coming to life, and we can easily add some spacing between the paragraphs like we did before by doing something like, you can do something like this. You can come here and say style, do padding top, right? Make it 40 pixels, right? So there's some spacing between the first paragraph and the image, and we could just copy this entire thing and paste it here and paste it here as well. And boom, we have something that looks a little bit nice already. If you look at this, it's following closely how it appears, and that is what we have. So we can go further by doing a couple of things. We could change the fonts. We could add the top nav bar to look like this if we wanted to. It's not that hard. It's something you can do. But yeah, if you followed along so far, you realize that this is not rocket science, right? We started from a blank page and we got all the way up here, right? Like I said before, you don't need much to do this. You just need a laptop and an internet to test this out. And then if you're able to do this and you feel like you want to do this, then you can you know, think about how you can learn more about HTML and CSS. But so now I want to share some essential websites that can help you level up. And two of those websites, the first one is w3schools.com. This is it, w3schools.com. Here you have tutorials for a whole lot of tools and languages. And if you come to the tutorials tab, you'd find a whole lot of options. So there's for HTML and CSS, there's JavaScript, there's some backend as well. But I highly recommend that you get started with HTML and CSS first, and then work your way through JavaScript and continue as you. For starters, you want to take the HTML tutorial that starts this, and then it shows you something similar to what we did previously, where we have paragraph tag, we have HTML, the doc type, head, title, and you just keep going. So you learn how to use colors, how to style and format your HTML document properly, or your website properly, how to work with images, forms, as you can see here, forms, how to work with media. I know we played with an image, but that's not the only thing. Modern websites use a mix of images, videos, even audio files. Know how to work with all of them, as well as play around with basic JavaScript, basic CSS, and then JavaScript when you're done with HTML and CSS. Yeah, I wish you all the best when working with W3 schools. The second one is Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp is also a free platform that enables you learn in-demand skills. They have various options for DevOps, cybersecurity, AI engineer, a host of others. This also comes with a certification. So this you might actually want this later on. But my recommendation is start with this guy and then come over to Free Program. Bye for now.